Before the pandemic, Austin was already one of the hottest markets in the country. And now after the pandemic, when people are realizing, hey, I can work remotely, I can choose where I live, we're seeing even more people flooding into Austin. And fun fact, Austin is now the #1 city in the country for relocation. So I'm sure many of you watching this video might be considering moving to Austin. And if that's the case, this video will teach you the 10 things you must know before moving. If that's what you click to learn, stay tuned. Hello again, everybody. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is Frank and I'm part of the team at the award-winning JP Goodwin Brokerage right here in Austin, Texas. We put out tons of new videos every week all about what it's like to live in Austin, Texas, whether it be the pros and cons, cost of living, comparisons of cities and states, top 10s like this one, vlogs of different areas and neighborhoods, and so much more. So, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, ring the little bell so that you're notified each time we put out a new video. In addition, we've loved the reach outs we've been getting from people relocating here ever since we started this YouTube channel, so be sure to reach out to us whether it's days, nights, weekends, any time of day. Call us, email us, text us. We've got your back when moving to Austin, Texas. We love finding that perfect place for you, making it as easy of a transition as possible. It's what we're good at, and so we do it. Now, before we get started, I would just like to say that these 10 things you must know are not in any particular order. We haven't ranked them. They simply are 10 things that you must know, so don't take the order too seriously and enjoy the content. Starting off at number 1, let's talk about just how big Austin really is. Now, is it going to be as big as Houston or Dallas? No. And when you are downtown enjoying what the city has to offer, you're gonna feel like it is a small city because it is. But what people don't keep in mind, especially when they're coming here from out of state or internationally, is that Austin is within Texas, and Texas is the largest state in the country. It is absolutely gigantic. If you put Texas over the Northeast or the Northwest, you get a bunch of states just all within the size of Texas. And I say that because, yes, the city of Austin itself is not humongous, but the greater Austin area is. And when you're moving here, you want to get a good lay of the land and understand that you have options that are not just within the city. Yes, anywhere you move, you're going to have the different suburbs, but the greater Austin area really is a lot larger than people expect. We have Travis County and we have Williamson County, and you're going to have a number of different suburbs and areas as soon as you leave the city. So let's say you go up north a little bit to say northwest Austin, you have the Domain, things like that, a lot of tech moving there as well. But go a little bit further and you'll find Cedar Park, you'll find Round Rock, you'll find Georgetown, you'll find Leander, you'll even find Liberty Hill, you'll find Killeen, you'll find Taylor, you'll find Kyle, San Marcos if you want to go down south. There's so many different places surrounding Austin that are really only between, I'd say, 15 to 20 minutes all the way up to maybe 30 or 40 minutes. If you just hop on the toll road or hop on the main freeway that'll take you to downtown, you have the access to the city, but you're not going to be stuck in the thick of it. So that's something that people need to know when they're coming here, that they have a lot more options than they think. A lot of it's going to be newer. They're going to be different amenities. You might not have all of the pros of living in a great city like Austin, but you will have access to it, as I said, and it might fit your lifestyle. So keep that in mind when you're coming here, whether you're by yourself or with your family. And real quickly, on the subject of size, if you don't have a car and you're not going to live in the city, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, you're going to need a car. Now, the public transportation system really just covers the city of Austin. As soon as you're out of the city, you might have the Metro bus and things like that, but not really to any great extent. And because this is Texas, everything is going to be so much more spread out than you realize, which I personally like because it doesn't have that staticky feeling of say, a dense city, right? You have peace, you have quiet. But if you want to go to the grocery store, you might be lucky and find one that's just a hop and a skip away, but be prepared to drive 5, 10, 15 minutes. And the same can be said for really anywhere else you want to go. You're going to be driving not forever. You're not going to be stuck in your car anytime you want to go somewhere, but the walkability, unless you're in a nice neighborhood with nice sidewalks, you're not going to be walking to run your errands, right? You're going to be driving, and it's something to keep in mind because some of the clients we've helped in the past, they're used to wherever they're coming from, and they think, oh, well, I'm going to be driving a lot more. It's a little bit of a wake-up call, so it's worth mentioning and something that you must know, in my opinion. Now, coming in at number 2, and that's going to be the job market. Austin's economy is absolutely booming right now. It's freaking crazy. And yes, it's predominantly tech jobs. I don't want to say it's limited to just the tech jobs because it's a great city for jobs in healthcare. It's a great city for jobs in education as well. But tech is really what's bringing a lot of the people here from out of state. We now have Silicon Hills, which is a lot of companies that are coming from Silicon Valley and San Francisco and the Bay Area. They're coming now to Austin, and it's growing a lot in that respect. So you're going to see in Austin, Apple, Google, Facebook, Dell, HP, Amazon, and even Tesla bringing in 5,000 new jobs. But as I said before, it's not only limited to tech, it's just what we see a lot of now trending for the future. But there are other fields of work that you can get into, and with the way the economy is here right now, you'll have some good luck. I could talk quite a bit about the jobs here in Austin, but I want to be consistent and keep moving with the list. So if you'd like to learn more about the jobs, we actually put out a video called The 10 Biggest Employers for Jobs in Austin, Texas. You'll get much more detailed information about what you can expect to find when moving here. But in a nutshell, yes, it's booming, and it's very well known to be a great place for startups as well. There's a lot of local businesses here that are just starting to blossom now after the pandemic, and of course that were booming before the pandemic. And it's a very casual flip-flops kind of vibe here in Austin as well, which in my opinion marries the job market in a really cool way. Now, since I mentioned that the vibe here is casual and that it's great for startup businesses, local businesses, let's go to number 3 on the list of things you must know, and that would be the culture here. Now, speaking specifically to the city of Austin, I'm going to be very blunt. It's a very liberal and progressive city. For some, that's great. For some, not so much. Just keeping it real with you guys. The vibe in Austin is very artistic. It's very eclectic. There's an abundance of local shopping options. It's very musical because of all our music festivals. And so all around the city, you're going to see murals, you're going to see art, you're going to see museums, you're going to see endless beer joints, endless local coffee shops, food trucks, taco restaurants, hookah lounges. And in addition to all of that, on the subject of pets, when it comes to Austin, Texas, pets are family. And I'm not saying that's exclusive to us, because I'm sure a lot of other places in the country have that vibe. But really here, Austin has adopted, in a very regular sense, having your pets around. So a lot of restaurants, a lot of stores, especially in the downtown metro area, will let you come in with your dog, or they'll let you have a designated spot to leave your dog outside. And in my opinion, what I think is really cool is that you have a lot of locally owned pet stores. So think, I don't know, along the lines of Whole Foods or Sprouts, very organic, very health conscious, but mom and pop owned, all about pets. And I love going there for my corgi, he's my world. And so if you have a furry friend in your life, worry not. Austin is a perfect place for that. Endless dog parks, great walkability in the city, and just a great place for your furry friends to feel at home. And there's a reason why you'll find a lot of these health-conscious, locally owned pet stores, and that's because much of Austin's reputation is very health-conscious. People here, they love the healthy lifestyle, they love the outdoor activities, whether it be hiking, whether it be yoga, shopping at Trader Joe's, shopping at Whole Foods, eating basically everything with either guacamole or avocado. You've got crystal shops. I mean, you name it, we have it. When it comes to progressive, when it comes to health conscious, forward thinking, trendy, all of that good stuff, that's something that's very much the heart and the root of Austin's culture. Now, before we move on, be sure to comment down below. Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know if you disagree with me. Let me know if you have any questions, or if you have any ideas for future videos we can make for you guys. In addition to that, be sure to like the video as well, as it tells us we're doing a good job and it really helps our channel grow. So coming in at number 4, and is going to be being prepared for this current market. Now we all know, or at least most of us know, that the current real estate market is crazy right now. Low inventory across the country, bidding wars, offers being accepted well over asking price, and Austin being the hub of relocation. I mean, it's more competitive than we've really ever seen it. And I'm not saying that to dissuade you or discourage you, but you need to be prepared when you're moving here. And that's a reason why we always encourage people to reach out to us, because something very important to note is that we immediately will get you on a Zoom call. Most of the time we'll get our lender in there, and it's good to have a local lender who is not just online, or is not missing time zones, someone who's going to be in your corner, who's going to pick up the phone when you call them, who's going to meet with you in person and hold your hand throughout the entire buying process. At our brokerage, we're fortunate to have a lovely lady named Ginger. I love to give her all my business because I know she always goes above and beyond to work miracles for people who need her assistance. And so on the Zoom call, it can be half an hour to an hour, even longer. It's all about us getting to know your needs, your wishes, where you want to live exactly, what your lifestyle is. Are you by yourself? Are you with your family? Explaining the different areas to you and helping you get a good lay of the land here in Austin, Texas. And something that's really important to note that I feel you must know that is still in number 4, and that would be in today's market. At the time of shooting this, it is March 2021. I don't know where it's going. You know, a lot of people are predicting this and that, very likely, sure, but I'm not going to pretend to have a crystal ball. So in this current market, as it stands right now, buyers need to understand, this is what we explain to them, it's no longer about getting a deal. It is now about getting in. And that means understanding that you're not going to get a bargain anymore. You want to get your foot in the door and compete with the other offers being presented to the sellers. Knowing how to get an offer accepted in this market is really what it boils down to. And so yes, if a house is priced fairly and it's not priced low on purpose to just create bidding wars, which can be really annoying for agents, you can expect to already offer at least 1% over asking, or much of the time 3 or 4% above asking. It's just the reality of things, but people close all the time, every day still, so don't let the gloom and doom affect you too much, but you've got to know that, you've got to be prepared. So reach out to us and we'll take great care of you. Coming in at number 5, we're going to talk about what you must know in regards to how smart it is right now to invest in Austin. Yes, a lot of people are relocating here with their families simply to live, and that's also what I'm talking about, but to a further extent, right now it is a brilliant idea to buy a home that's a fixer-upper, something you can renovate, something you can flip, because the appreciation in Austin with the way the market's going, or I guess on camera it's this way, right? You're gonna make a hefty profit. And I'm speaking especially to people who might be moving here just for a few years. Sometimes they have jobs that cause them to move periodically. It's a brilliant move to come to Austin, because whatever you buy now, wait a few years, you'll make a hefty sum of money, great equity in that thing. What we're seeing a lot of people doing is they're actually finding these places very cheap because they're fixer-uppers, and they're converting them into Airbnbs. They're not even living here. And Austin being a very touristy place, to be honest with you, yeah, it's not New York, it's not Los Angeles, but you'd be surprised, especially with those music festivals. A lot of people come to Austin just to visit. And when they do, hotels are still a thing, but Airbnb is dominating the world right now. So if you were to get your foot in the door and get a nice little property that you can fix up, even if it's a backyard shed, people will pay top dollar for that here in Austin, and it's a great return on your investment. And not just in Austin. Specifically, one of the areas that comes to my mind is a suburb, if you want to call it that, called Lago Vista. Lago Vista is, I would say it's a high-end, much of it waterfront properties looking at Lake Travis. I closed a deal last year of just a lot that someone got, I want to say maybe $90,000. Sometimes you'll find it for 40 or 50. Lakefront, looking at the water to build a custom home. And even if you're not going to build a custom home, just to buy property, buy lots, buy land in that area and many other areas, and wait as the people flock here to build and to invest, is really going to give you a pretty penny. And on that note, real quick, we're seeing commercial real estate starting to be a little bit iffy in this market. And that's because, like I said earlier in this video, people are realizing that, hey, I don't want to work in a cubicle anymore. I don't want to have to commute to work. If I can do this in the comfort of my own home, I will. So we're seeing a rise in residential and a decrease in commercial, which is all the more reason to start investing and flipping those properties as the market for residential just goes up and up and up and up. given the current climate and the world the way things are. So now coming in at number 6, and that's going to be knowing your options when you are coming here. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the clients that we've helped in the past, when they're moving here from anywhere in the world really, they naturally want to rent first. And while that's a great idea, a very logical idea to get the lay of the land, to know your left from your right, figure out which areas you want to move to, it's not necessarily the wisest decision. And what we like to encourage our clients to do, or at least consider, is an extended stay at an Airbnb. Apartments or homes these days, especially when it comes to landlords, the criteria is getting much more difficult. It's not as easy as it used to be. I was helping some renter clients a few months back who were actually coming up here from Mexico, and they had 2 dogs, they had a family, great credit, great income, all of that stuff. They were still having trouble because a lot of these property management companies, they own these homes in the neighborhoods, and they make you want to pull your hair out with all the different requirements and hidden fees, deposits, things of that nature that can financially cripple you or ultimately affect your ability to buy in the future. In addition to that, you're often locked in for 6 months. You're often locked in for a year, more so than 6 months. So yes, it makes sense to do it. We all understand why. When my family came here 20 plus years ago from Houston, they rented for a little while, and that's normal. But Airbnb exists now. And so just recently, my brother, for the hell of it, went to live in New York City for a month. And he found that he just negotiated a rate with the Airbnb owner, and yeah, he's living there now. I mean, temporarily, of course. But with Airbnb, when it comes to extended stays, you find reduced rates, and a lot of them are going to be more flexible than landlords in regards to pets, in regards to deposits, and all the different headaches you can expect when you're renting. So if you are moving here and your intention is not to immediately buy, especially if we're helping you get out of where you're moving from, because a lot of our clients, they haven't even sold their house yet where they live, so we connect them with an agent that we know and get that process going. But then it's like, okay, we have to act fast now. We're on a time crunch here, and finding a place to rent, you have to settle a lot of times, or sometimes it takes longer than you think. So we always try and just encourage them to weigh their options and make it as easy as possible when they come here. Something you must know, which is why it's on this list, is to simply consider your options and think of stuff that you might not have thought about before. Coming in at number 7, I would like to talk about the subject of schools, because a lot of the people that we help come here, most of which in fact are families, and they always want to know not only what are the best school districts, but where are the best schools in general. And something that's very easy to brag about in regards to Austin are the schools. So for starters, yes, you have the Austin Independent School District. Great public schools, very well known for its accolades and achievements and things of that nature. And you really can't go wrong with AISD in that sense, but a lot of it is going to be inner city, depending on where in Austin you're going to be living. But in addition to that, better than that, something that Austin, or the greater Austin area, really has to offer are 2 certain school districts, and that would be the Round Rock Independent School District and the Leander Independent School District. An honorable mention would be the Eanes Independent School District, which is by that Westlake area, very high-end luxury. But I'm going to talk about Leander and Round Rock because they cover more ground, in my opinion. And so if you're living in Liberty Hill, if you're living in Leander, if you're living in Cedar Park, if you're living in Round Rock, maybe even Taylor, which is a little bit east of Round Rock, Hutto, all of these great suburbs that I've mentioned in the past, you're going to be zoned for either LASD or Round Rock ISD. And those schools, and I kid you not, they look like private schools. And I was fortunate to go to public school in Leander Independent School District growing up. And I mean, in my experience, I thought it was normal. I thought all schools were like this, because when you're growing up, you only know what you know, you don't know what you don't know. But as I grew older and matured and got out of that and traveled and lived elsewhere and met people who have their own experiences, I came to find that their public school experience was vastly different than mine. My high school alone had 4 different buildings and a brand new football stadium because we love our sports here in Texas. And the districts are known for having great test scores, for having great academic programs, scholarships, athletics, band, theater, journalism, robotics, ROTC. And in addition, a lot of these school districts, or the schools within the districts, are within neighborhoods. And that's something that I love about the suburbs whenever I'm telling families coming here, explore the suburbs, because you'll find that a lot of the elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools, the way the suburbs are developed is all around the schools. So you'll find neighborhoods here where it's within walking distance to the schools. You'll feel safe because it's a great safe suburban area, of course, to let your kids walk to school. When I grew up, I had an elementary school about 2 blocks from my house. And yes, my parents were very protective. They were very safe, it was very sheltered. And even they would feel comfortable letting me just walk to school on my own. And so you'll find a lot of that in terms of even neighborhoods where you can just ride in a golf cart with your kids, drop them off at school, and go play golf after if you don't have to work. And so yes, it's something that I feel you must know if you're moving here. These school districts, I'm telling you, Austin has some of the best for public schools that really give you a feel of private schools, and your kids won't have to wear a uniform. Moving right along to number 8, and that's going to be the subject of the weather. And I laugh because I cannot count the amount of times I've said this in other videos that we've made, but I gotta say it, I have to warn people. I guess not warn people, but let them know it's hot here. And yes, that's stating the obvious. Of course, Texas, it's the South, it's going to be hot. But, oh man, you can expect triple digits from probably as early as May, sometimes April, but early as May through maybe halfway through September. Even Halloween's gonna be, 75, 80 degrees, by then. Not all the time, but doesn't shock us when it happens. And so if you are moving from a place where, you might have high 90s or you might have some triple digits here and there, we have consecutive weeks, months of triple digits, which is why Texans really got defensive when this winter storm hit, which was crazy, by the way, because it never freaking snows here. And all the northerners were making fun of us for not being able to handle snow. And it's because, we're used to handling triple digits, not snow. Our winters are never usually snowy. And the houses here are built with ACs. That's the norm here. I learned that was different when I started traveling and seeing that, oh wait, these houses don't come with an AC? What, I have to buy something for the window? What? Because it's just always hot here, or warm at least. And so Texans would say, well, we'd like to see you northerners last May through September of just consecutive triple digits, where you walk outside and the air is so dense and muggy. It's not dry, right? It's not necessarily humid in Austin like it is in Houston, for example, but it's still southern dense air where 95 will feel like 105. And it's like when you open your oven to check on your cookies and the hot air just slaps your face. That's what it's like when you walk outside and it's 105, or if your car, like mine, sleeps outside and you open the door and you just see like this little mirage type of thing exit your car, and you turn it on, you crank the AC, you lower your windows, and I've let my car sit and chill out, air out for 5-10 minutes sometimes before I dare go in it. This might be too much information, but I've even lifted the back of my shirt because I don't want to drench the shirt I'm wearing with my sweat. So I guess it doesn't make much sense, but I'd rather it get on my seat than my shirt. And I've driven like that extensively. It's a normal thing here. But I'm not trying to say it's like that all the time, because obviously it's not. If you do survive those intense, brutal summer months where all you want to do is stay inside and crank up your AC bill, then you'll enjoy September, October, all the way through March or April, 70s, 80s, 60s. I mean, this past winter, yes, we had that freakish snowstorm, and it snowed for the first time, I think, in about 7 years. And you could really, we know the number 7 because that's how infrequent it is. But most of the time our winters are going to be maybe as cold as the 30s, usually in the 40s. But this winter, I mean, we shot a vlog in Round Rock in the middle, I think, of January, and it was 65 and sunny, gorgeous. So a lot of people come here to escape their usual bitter, harsh, intense winters that they're accustomed to and enjoy what feels like paradise and a vacation here in Austin, Texas. But I will warn you, if and when we do have another crazy, Snowmageddon, winter apocalypse type of thing, we're not prepared for it. We really aren't. And we saw tons of people lose both power and water for consecutive days. Can't shower, you might have to go to your car just to charge your phone. We had a boil water notice because, not only did we lose pressure, but anything we did get was gross and dirty. So I remember having to boil water over the stove, which at the time we could still do because we still had power. And then doing the whole pitcher over the sink, pour it on your head, shampoo real quick, a dab kind of bath. That's what it was like. The city basically shut down. And yes, we got a little bit used to that because of COVID, but people were still going to work, who had to. But now they all of a sudden couldn't because our roads, our infrastructure is built for heat, not for snow. So it was just like a ghost town all of a sudden. Schools, forget about it. Work, obviously no one could go. And it was crazy. It affected us so dramatically, as opposed to these other states where it's like, yeah, we get more snow than that all the time and we're fine because they're used to it. They have snow tires, they have snow boots, and their power grids are not gonna freaking shut down as soon as it drops below freezing for consecutive days. So be warned, when and if that winter thing happens again, it's a mess. We can't handle it, but we always come out on top. So yeah, in summary, May through August, avoid. September through March or April, great. Winters, fine, occasionally brutal. And that's really your assessment on the weather here in Austin, Texas, something I feel you must know. So it's deserving of this list. So we are inching towards the finish line now. Coming in at number 9, I would like to talk about something I always talk about, much like the weather. And in this case, it's going to be property taxes. I know it's kind of like a yawn topic, okay. But in the past, our clients, without fail, have always been blindsided by the property taxes here in Texas, specifically in Austin. One of the charms, one of the alluring factors of Texas itself, not just Austin, is no state income tax. So that is why we're seeing an influx of not just people, but companies coming here to save money on the state income taxes. But the stickler that always catches people are the property taxes, because a lot of times where they're moving from, they'll say, yeah, we paid 1%, maybe 1.5%. But here in Austin, unless you're really living central in the city, which is gonna be around 2% because it's already more expensive, as soon as you leave the metro area and branch out to North Austin, different suburbs that I've mentioned before, you're gonna start seeing it at 2.5%, 2.7%, 3%, sometimes even above 3% if it's a brand new development area that's really booming and on the rise. And so naturally, yeah, you're gonna pay 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus $1,000 a year just on property taxes. And a lot of the buyers, to no fault of their own, they don't live here, they don't just immediately think of that. But in terms of budgeting, in terms of finance, in terms of planning and preparing for that, it's like, whoa, wait a second, I thought we could afford more. But when you add it all up at the end of the day, what you're coughing up in property taxes might affect just how much you can afford. So naturally, that's something I feel you must know. Please keep it in mind, and we'd be happy to talk about it further, but well deserving of this list. And now, finally at long last, number 10, and it's gonna be really a large umbrella of the subject of relocation that I've mentioned a handful of times, but now I'm gonna look at it in a different light. And it's a little bit of a beware, be warned. Just to give you an idea, Austin, when being compared to San Antonio, which is a very comparable city, Austin has more than double the population of San Antonio. Houston, which is a mega city, I mean, it blows my mind how humongous Houston is. Austin already almost has a higher population than Houston. And the reason that matters is because traffic, for one, is gonna be pretty bad here. Not Los Angeles bad, but certainly not great or normal. It's going to be a little bit worse than what you can normally expect in any city. And as more and more people come here that Austin did not prepare for, we see it get worse and worse, because unlike Houston, unlike San Antonio, unlike Dallas, the rapid population influx in Austin happen quicker than the city could really plan for. So it's always this never-ending game of catch-up where we're trying to build for it, we're trying to make it all more fluid. And to the city of Austin's credit, they've done a decent job of finally opening up a new toll road. Like if you're driving to the airport, you're no longer just in a mess all the time. You can kind of breeze down there now. But outside of that, it's a never-ending game of catch-up in the sense of the traffic is getting worse because there's more people than the city planned for. So what do? Construction. We have to build better roads, make it work more well-functioning like a city like Houston. But what that means is we're always in a state of construction. And when we're always in a state of construction, I'm getting animated now, sorry, because it riles me up. When we're always in a state of construction, that makes traffic even worse. And I mean, God, you miss your exit, you get backed up, there's more wrecks because people don't know where the hell they're going. And there's always these like detour signs, exit closed. And so it's a headache. It's not horrific in the sense, like I said, of a Los Angeles type of city. But when you're comparing it to basically anywhere else in Texas, it's gonna be a bit of a headache. And you must know that, especially during festival season. As I mentioned before, Austin, self-proclaimed music capital of the world. And so yeah, we have ACL, we have South by Southwest, we have the Reggae Festival, all of these different things. And whenever that happens, the already bad traffic that Austin's trying to keep up with just goes completely out of hand. And a lot of the Austinites, the locals like myself, we just lay low because we know, oh my gosh, unless we have to get somewhere, we're not even gonna bother. Because yeah, a lot of that stuff is central to the city, but it ripples. And so even if you're driving somewhere outside of the city, you get the aftermath results of all these people trying to get downtown. And it's just bad, you know? And a city like Houston, which is so big and still also very densely populated, they kind of kept up with their growth. And now they have this amazing infrastructure of circles and ramps and freeways and loops and things like that to make it a well-oiled machine. Austin, on the other hand, which not too long ago was just a small old college town, is just trying to keep up. And on the subject of relocation, this big umbrella subject that's number 10 on the list, your cost of living is going to reflect that. Of all the cities in Texas, Austin is by far the most expensive to live. For example, we just put out a video of Austin versus San Antonio, weighing both cities and seeing how they compare with each other. And just a little nugget of information, the median home price right now in San Antonio, I believe, was maybe $170, $180. In Austin, you're looking at $370, $375, and that's when you're still weighing the townhomes, the condos, cheaper priced things. If we're talking strictly a family home, that median could easily be at $450, $500 right now, just because of the way the market is. And so the more people that come, the higher the gas prices are gonna go, the more traffic you're gonna have, the less inventory we're gonna see, the higher offers being made on homes, the whole ripple effect. So yes, it's amazing that Austin has this diverse melting pot because of the relocation. I'm not trying to say it's all bad, because you get to meet all kinds of people from different walks of life here, and that's part of what makes Austin so great, especially when being compared to the other cities here in Texas. You do have a lot of diversity. The downsides, of course, is it does affect how expensive it is to live here. And another fun fact, if the national average is a fixed 100, Austin overall cost of living is about 119, which makes it about 20% higher to live in Austin than the average cost of living across the country. But again, that's what we love to do, is make the transition as easy as possible, find that perfect place for you. So whether you're looking for the right commute to work, whether you're looking for the right school districts for your kids, whether you're looking for the best nightlife if you're a young professional, whether you're looking for the best golf courses, the best tax rates, so on and so forth, that's what we pride ourselves in doing. So be sure to reach out to us. Send us an email, give us a call, shoot us a text. Days, nights, weekends, any time of day. We've got your back when moving to Austin, Texas, and it's what we love to do. So let us help you. In addition, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more. Like I said, we put out tons of new content every week to educate you on what it's like to live in Austin, Texas. So be sure to subscribe, ring the little bell so you're notified each time we do put out a new video. Comment down below with any questions, agreements, or disagreements, or video ideas. Like the video to help us grow and tell us that we're doing a good job for you guys. And until the next video, we'll catch you later.